Right.
And I believe in those areas, in the wards, right? Because all of those were made for black people. You know, 3rd Ward, 5th Ward. Now they've been renamed to, you know, the East End.
Yes.
You know, all of these beautiful names, right?
EDO and
right.
all that.
You know, these beautiful names which remove the stigma, right? But at the end of the day, it's still the same properties.
Same ones.
That we've been living in for years and years and years and years and years. And the value has always been there. It's just we never brought it up. We never saw the value in it.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Deep MCs, the podcast that seeks to push meaningful conversation to a whole new level. Whether it's for your entertainment or your personal growth, we appreciate you being here today. And now, on to the show. What's going on, man?
Hey, man.
How you doing?
I'm great, actually.
Good.
And
That's
you?
what I like. As I like to hear. I like to hear great. Great
How are you?
is better than terrible. I mean, you know, the usual. Overworked, underpaid, stressed out.
Didn't you just say great was better than terrible?
I mean, yes.
So,
yeah, I never said I was great. I was just saying great is better than terrible.
you know what? You might need that 45-minute affirmation book, man. You might need that. 'Cause
I hate to read. That's the problem. What are we getting into this time?
man, we are going to talk about gentrification.
Gentrification.
Yeah.
The big G.
The big G.
I had to think about that. I was like, is it G?
Yeah.
J.
G.
I was terrible at spelling in school as well, so add that to. I have nightmares of spelling, and then you get that long thin piece of paper, and then the teacher would read out words, and you had to spell it on each line. It was like 50 lines on that damn paper, and then you get graded on it, and I would always fail.
I feel like we need to take a trip to one of those monasteries or something out in, the wilderness, so you can just sit by some water and just let, kind of like
just let it all go.
Just let it go.
Have a breakthrough.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
When you go to do ayahuasca in the Amazon, they say that's where you have.
So you already know where it is.
That's it.
You've researched it.
You have your emotional breakthroughs and find who you are as a person. But yeah, gentrification with the G.
Yeah.
It's an interesting subject, and it's funny because when the topic was proposed, I was thinking about it because I was going by somewhere downtown. I don't even remember what street it was. You know what? I got to get better at this and start researching, because a lot of our conversations start off with, I don't remember their name. I don't remember.
They do, right?
Right,
yeah.
right? Yeah. And maybe I'm just getting old and my memory's just going bad. But I was driving by. Actually, I was coming back from my corporate headquarters, and it was cutting through the backside over, on Silver or whatever it was. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And it was a lot of rundown homes, a lot of old homes, a lot
outside of the loop.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden you start to see these townhomes popping up, these big 3-story with the patio, rooftop, deck, everything else. And I was just thinking about gentrification in that instance, and I was like, what is gentrification, or how did it start? I mean, we can go by the dictionary term of what it is, and I think everybody kind of understands it, or maybe they don't, and we can talk about that too. But I was thinking about it from the instance of, it's funny because when you look at how the country developed over time, the people that had the money, the people that had the influence, they kind of picked where they wanted to be, and then they put everybody else where they felt they should be, and that's just kind of the way that it is.
And that was based on, I believe that putting was based on resources It was based
Right.
on the quality of what they felt was good or bad,
Right.
and so of course you're not going to be given the best plots of land. You're going to be given, the leftovers.
Right. And that's what it is, right? And that's what it was. But then, quote unquote, gentrification comes in, and now it's
Now the leftovers have been seasoned, sir.
yeah. But so why all of a sudden do you want? You're coming, and that just kind of drives me crazy for the fact that what was once not wanted, all of a sudden is the hot new. This is where I want to be, and that's everywhere. It doesn't matter what city it's in, what state it's in.
Doesn't matter.
And why do you think that is? Because I mean, like you said, it was the things that were unwanted, shitty location, didn't have the resources, didn't this, that, or the third, and now all of a sudden it's, oh no, I gotta be here.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
I mean, all of the, there's a lot of things that tie into that, right? And you have this idea of white flight, where generally the neighbors of the white persuasion were leaving, neighborhoods in droves and going out to the suburbs, right? Where they could, kind of set up their own idea, right? Set up their own thing and get away from what was happening now in the inner city, in the urban environment, right?
Right.
It's because we were moving where the industrial jobs were, and we were moving and that was generally in the heart of the city, around the railroads and around the waterways and around those kind of things, right? And so here we are, in the heart of the city, but that's not where we want to be anyway, because it's smoke and it's everything else. Let's go out to the suburbs and let's create this, this utopia of sorts.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Utopia. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. It's just funny to me to see the people that run away are so quick to want to run back, and now they also take advantage though of the opportunity. And I mean, I guess in that instance I can't be too mad at them. I mean, I'm upset because when you see these townhomes pop up, the person that owned that plot of land generally probably got taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Right. They got dangled more money in front of their face than they've ever seen, and that still wasn't a fraction of what it was
probably
worth.
was, it wasn't mom who had the property initially. This probably the kids down the line, grandkids down the line who, may not even live in the city anymore. The house is dilapidated and you're never going back to it. So here, have it, right? Take it. And you've given up a legacy. For me, this isn't important for me in so many different kind of facets, is because I feel like you give up a legacy, or you give up the ability to build generational wealth, over time. You give it up when you give up those lots. I believe you give it up, right? You give it up. And I think we've done that far too often for the quick dollar, as opposed to thinking ahead long term. What is this going to mean in another 10 years when you come back with $1 million, as opposed to taking this $20,000 you just gave me?
Yeah. And that's sad though, because when you really think about it, and a lot of it there's all these people that come in there and they say, oh, I'm gonna give you $20,000 for this.
Quick cash.
$20,000 for a home and a piece of land that's already paid for.
Yes.
And people are just like, oh, hell yeah,
because you don't want to pay the $500 in taxes a year.
Exactly.
So you'll take the $20,000 and kind of chunk this whole legacy. This man,
they throw it away, right?
Throw it away.
They quantify it as, oh well, $20,000 divided by 500. That's like these many years of taxes, but they don't factor in everything else that's in there. And I guess for me, that's it's.
But then you got to split the $20,000 6 ways.
Yeah, between all the kids, and the grandkids, and everything else, and then they're gonna tax it and everything.
Right.
So you don't get anything for it at the end of the day. But Excuse me, but that's where it kind of is frustrating for me. You know, it's weird because I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how I feel about gentrification, and a lot of people, it bothers a lot of people. You know, a lot of people say, oh, it's a good thing. A lot of people are just, oh, it's not that big of a deal, you know, and I'm still trying to sort out, I guess, where I stand.
The part of it that boils me is the resources that are poured into a neighborhood when that value comes back. Right? Oh, now we have money to fix the infrastructure. Now we have money to address the flooding. Now we have money to do to build new roads or to redo these torn up roads, right? And that's the part of, or we can now go and revamp that park that's been dilapidated for the last 30 years. Those are the things that get under my skin, is because where was that value? Where was those resources before that interest came back to the neighborhood?
Right.
And that's the part of it that I really hate, is that there was no that help and that aid and that concern wasn't there until, basically, white people moved back into the neighborhood and decided it was necessary.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and that is a frustrating factor for sure when it comes to it, because it should be. We always talk about everybody being equal or having access to equitable things, and I mean, we know that that's not the case, and that's the thing. But I guess the other side of that coin, though, too, is how much of that is our own doing as well. Mm-hmm. And that's what I kind of question too, because it's like a lot of people get upset by it, or they're like, oh, they're coming into my neighborhood and they're gentrifying everything and blase, but the same people that are posing this argument, you're not even spending your money in that neighborhood. So
there's a couple things, right? So that you have this one on this hand, right, which is handing off the responsibility,
right,
and then you have this one over on this hand, which is taking responsibility, right? And I think that's where we fall short too, is because, one, if we recognize the value of what we had in this hand, then we would have taken care of it a lot better, right?
Oh, for sure.
And when all of the value came back, it would have already been there. We wouldn't have never lost it. And so, and I think this goes back to another podcast we had previously, when we were talking about entrepreneurship and all of those kind of things, and how we've lost some of that.
Right.
And I believe in those areas, in the wards, right? Because all of those were made for black people. 3rd Ward, 5th Ward, now they've been renamed to, the East End.
Yes.
All of these beautiful names,
EDO,
right?
And all this.
These beautiful names which remove the stigma, right? But at the end of the day, it's still the same properties.
Same ones.
That we've been living in for years and years and years and years and years. And the value has always been there. It's just we never brought it up. We never saw the value in it. And so it continued to deteriorate, right?
Yeah.
Because what would have happened had you or I gone in and built a grocery store, which was necessary.
Right.
In a black-owned community, right? And then people come in and support it. Because now HEB is making a killing in 3rd Ward.
A ton of money.
A ton of money.
And there was so much hoopla about it and all of this and all of that.
Yeah.
Years of waiting for a national or a chain to come in and set up shop in a place, but they had to feel safe enough in order to do it. Why couldn't we go in and do it ourselves?
No, that's a good question, right? Why couldn't we go do it? And I think that forks off in several different paths, and some of that is because we don't get the same treatment or access to resources or funding to do that.
True.
Which is a huge problem. We could talk about that in a whole
yeah,
nother.
Yeah. Right.
I've experienced that with suburban.
You and I have.
Yeah, both of us have.
Yep.
You know, and I think that that's a huge part of it, and that's not equitable at all. But on the backside of that, though, too, I think that a lot of times we stand in our own way of allowing that to happen. I don't know what it is. It just seems like, and I could be wrong, and maybe it's just my interactions and my situations that I've had. A lot of black people don't like to see black people successful.
Man, I think and you can put whatever faces you want, whatever emojis you want, and you can be like, oh, I'm tired of this conversation. But I believe that there are some generational things, man, that have come from slavery that have caused us to be who we are today, right?
Yeah.
And we were put at odds against each other to make sure, after the slave master did his work, he put black individuals over slaves. So that now you're not being judged by me, you're being judged by him, right? And so now you have these hierarchies that are being created, and they felt like we needed to, now this class system is being created within our own people, of good, bad, and indifferent, right? And we see that with colorism and hair texture and skin color and all of those kind of things, man, that have come down the pipeline and still rest right here today.
Yeah. And that's the frustrating thing. I mean, like we had conversations in the past where, I tried to purchase some homes in the ward, from a black person, and it was like they didn't want none of it. There was, it's like almost you're insulting them, even though they're in a bad spot and you're trying to help them out.
Yeah.
It's like, how dare you? Like, I got this, and then at the end of the day, you go and lose all them damn homes to somebody else, and now you're not benefiting from any of the money. You lost everything that could have built you any type of wealth or continuous source of passive income, all because of either your pride or you just not wanting to see me have something that was, I don't know what it is.
We don't know what that trigger is, right?
We don't know what it is, and that's what's frustrating. And I mean, I guess for me, I guess maybe I experience it a little bit sometimes, but because I feel that I try really hard to be successful.
Okay.
And my time either hasn't come, or maybe I'm not experiencing the same level of success as someone else is right now. And it is frustrating, but it doesn't stop me from being happy for the other person. But it's still frustrating.
I got you.
Excuse me. And I don't know if that's normal. I don't know if that's normal or not, or I don't know if that's something that these people are experiencing, because you will get some people that slide through the cracks, and then they will support. I don't know. You will have those one-offs that do well, or that will get the support after a certain amount of time. But generally speaking, we don't support ourselves, and we don't want to see someone else, reap the benefits if you're not already a successful person.
I mean, we've talked about that how different, nationalities or different groups of people, treat community. Right. And we've talked about, living in this communal state where, you help everybody in the one house, and then you buy another house, and then you have everybody in the two houses, and now you have 4 houses. Right. And that's just not our nature. Right. And I think that was one of the things, is that once we were able to get, once we were able to desegregate, we kind of went after what we thought we needed. And what we thought we needed was no longer community. It was me getting the new caddy. It was me getting the new house. It was me, hey, mama, I made it. But not necessarily realizing that the whole community needed to come up with me, And I think that's one of the things that we are missing, because had the whole community come up, then you would have told me when I went to sell my house for $20,000. That, hey man, that house is worth more than that.
You're dumb.
You know, don't sell it, lease it.
Yeah.
You know, don't
something.
give it up. You know, what is another opportunity? Can you tear down this house and put something else on it that's going to create value, that's going to create additional income, that's going to bring something back of value back to the neighborhood, you know, and then take the value of this block from this number to this number,
right?
You know, and now you have something to borrow against because you have an asset,
right?
But who's talking to?
Unless you are mortgaged by Wells Fargo, they stopped all personal lines of lending. I just want to throw that out there. So if people are listening and you're mortgaged by Wells Fargo, I tried to. They don't want your equity home loan.
They don't want it.
They stopped all personal lines of lending.
Well, there it is.
So, but what you're saying is right, 100%. And it's education, the lack of education. It's the lack of education that is making that there. So here's the question then, and I guess so. When gentrification comes up, a lot of the times, especially from the perspective of someone of color, it's considered as a bad thing. But is it a bad thing, or is it a second chance for some of the people that are there? Because people come in, they build their condos and they do this stuff that does raise value, which does raise the value of your raggedy, dilapidated home. Is this a second chance for those people out there to get the education? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing either, right? Because now you have an opportunity where, you could sell out and take the higher price, and it's unfortunate that a lot of people will, sell a legacy for the price of a used Honda Accord. And that's what it boils down to, right?
That's what it is, right?
They don't take the opportunity to say, okay, well, this is coming, rather than say this is a bad thing. I'm gonna ride this wave because it ain't going anywhere. The swell's only gonna get bigger.
Right.
I can capitalize on this.
I can capitalize on it.
And
I think we have to. Again, for me, it goes back to seeing something more long term than today. Because if we only think about today and we think about our current situation, because if I take my current situation into account, right? I have this home in one of the wards. I'm working this 9-to-5 job. Actually, I'm working 2. You know what I'm saying? My unemployment has run out, right? It's mama's old house, granny's old house. It's falling down around me. Taking this $20,000, $30,000 is really going to help me to start over. Not realizing that starting over at $30,000 is what are you gonna do with that? Not much, right? And so if I only look at my current situation, I'll take that now, not realizing that the value of it is in it later.
Right.
Right. And it's, we talk about it in real estate. Are you gonna buy it and flip it, or buy and hold? Because the buy and hold waits for the value that is coming.
Right. And that's the thing. I guess that's the thing that people need to understand, though, too, is the hold. And maybe it's just the fact that the whole world now is all about instant gratification. And what can they get in their hand?
The microwave.
Yes. What can they get in their hand right now? And they don't understand what hold really means. Hold can mean a variety of things, and hold, it more than likely is not a month. It's not a year.
Right.
And they go, what do you mean I gotta wait a whole
It's something with an S on it.
Exactly.
It's a plural thing.
Yes, it is a long time. It is not going to be tomorrow.
Right.
So let that shit go.
Yeah.
But I think that's what kills a lot of it for us too, because you go down there and you look at them, and you see these people sell out for this money, and it's never a lot ever, and it's gone just as quick as they get it because they don't think they can hold on. Like that house has been there for how many decades? You can wait another 5 years, man. It's not gonna kill you, you know.
I mean, but there's clearly a clear plan about how to address, you know, the areas that are going to get the best return, right?
Right.
And so you go into it with this letter, this beautiful letter written that ties into the emotions of the person that's living in that home, right? We know that times are hard, you know, you might be going through this and da 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 da, and you tap into the person's emotions that then cause them to make an emotional decision as opposed to an informed decision. And those are the problems, man. And then you have, you know, these places like Zillow and Open Door and all of these things that are coming to your bum. I've gotten 10 letters. Now I'm a full-time real estate agent, right? Who understands the value of my investment.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I get these letters every day, literally a couple of times a week, you know, that are saying, hey, you know, what about a cash value on your home? Are you ready to sell? You know, we need your home.
Right.
And we can do this, and you can walk away scot-free.
Not
have to touch anything.
Yeah. And all for a small minuscule profit.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. And we pay top dollar. Yeah, not knowing that once you agree, then they start nickel and diming you on the back end about we saw this on the roof, or we saw this and we saw that, and now you're fully invested into the thing. You know, you've already started packing.
Yeah.
You know, and so now you feel like you have to continue with it because now here we are in the full gamut of it, and that is happening every second of the day.
It is, and I guess I don't know. How does one get the education to the people? And, you know, I see things, and I guess and again, like, I can't be mad at the people, but damn, like, I just wish that there was a better way to educate people about what's happening and the things that are going on. Because even when you talk about even from the gentrification process, there's still people that are taking advantage who aren't the people that are necessarily spearheading the gentrification. And what I mean by that is, like, even now and in the past, you know, few years and stuff, you see, like, here in Houston and everything, a lot of these rappers or local celebrities, you see, oh, they're buying up this house and that house and blah 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 blah. I'd tell you right now, they're not paying them people top dollar either. Yeah. They're not, because otherwise it's not a investment.
Yeah, right.
You know, so here you are. These are black people taking advantage of black people and not educating. Like, if you really cared about the wards, you really cared about, you know, whatever the situation is, you should be down there giving that education, not buying it up to add to your portfolio,
right? Because
now that's taken away from 5 families to put into your 1 family, right? You know, and
I mean, there was one thing that I was involved in when we were that I learned about early on when I moved to Houston. It was the row house project, right? And what it did is they bought up, you know, an area of homes that were row houses, and row houses are they're shotguns at the end of the day. If you understand what a shotgun house is, right? You look at the front door and you look straight through the back door. That's why you can shoot a shotgun and it goes straight through, right? The idea. And what they did is that they set up this system for mothers, for single moms who just needed a second hand, right? Who needed a place to stay. You know, there's done artist work in them. They've done a lot of things with them, right? And so it became an initiative within the community to assist.
Right.
And I think those opportunities are part of education. I think those opportunities are part of revitalization and bringing something back. And I think those are important, that even if you are buying several homes, you know, in the Third Ward area, because you know it's a great investment, I think there's still a responsibility for you to give something back to the community.
100%. And I think it should be something of equitable value.
Equitable value.
Not a free concert.
Equitable value. Is the free concert going to bring in black food trucks, and then is some of the proceeds going to be contributing to rebuilding this park that we just tore up?
No.
I'm just saying.
No.
It should be.
It should be. It definitely should be. And that's where I feel like a lot of the times though too, and I see it. But the thing is people don't get mad when we talk about the gentrification. People don't get mad when it's their own people doing it to them, and that's also, it's like a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, we catching it from all ends.
And how do you just?
It's that idea of the frog, right? I believe it's the frog. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't care. But the frog will sit in a pot of boiling water.
Oh yeah, the ones you turn it up slowly.
It'll
sit there until it cooks itself to death.
until it dies, right?
Yeah.
And I think from the other end, that's what's happening, right? It's gentle. But then you see, Mary, and they're running down the sidewalk now, right?
Yeah.
And so now you're upset about that because now they've widened the sidewalks and they've put in this bike lane. And they've done all of these kind of things, and you see these people running down the sidewalk, and you're focused on them. Meanwhile, the temperature's being turned on this other side.
You're not seeing it at all, and so that's where and that's kind of also too why I wanted, like, to have a topic about gentrification, because it's all those things as a whole, right? And we need to be able to see that it's not always. It's the illusion, right? There's also the sleight of hand, like you said, that's involved in there, and we need to be paying attention to all these things that happen as a whole. I think we miss a lot.
Dude, I promise you, I just brought that up, and that was one of the things that just sparked another, like, the freaking bike lanes. I saw bike lanes being put in, with nice green paint. And they're being set aside. And what about the kids that's been riding down the freaking bike lane or riding in the medians because they didn't have a safe way home?
Hey, no.
For years and years and years.
Yeah.
Come on, man. That part of it is what I hate. That part of it is what aggravates me to no end, is that it was necessary long before now. And now because there's been some lobbying for people who don't look like me, for them to feel safe going down. Oh, come on.
Come on, I mean, it is. But then that's the thing too, right?
Look at the turkey leg hut. Now you got me all excited.
Yeah, the turkey leg hut.
They were until now they in the neighborhood. In the freaking neighborhood. But now we mad because now the line is too long. The smoke, the turkey smoke. The turkey smoke is detrimental to my health. Come on, man. And that wasn't us.
No, it wasn't. It was not at all. And that's the thing is.
But you just moved back here.
Yeah, 3 months ago.
3 months ago, and now you made a turkey smoke. Oh, come on. Maybe we need to change this topic because I'm upset.
No, it's a great topic though. It's just what it is, right? But that's the thing is, that person that makes that complaint, is an asshole, and they're a pain in the ass, and there are a lot of the reasons of what's wrong with it, But then on the backside of that same coin, that person wouldn't have been there if we handled our business the right way.
And bought up those condos anyway. Yeah,
and that's the hard part,
I like the idea, because right there on that, I like the idea of what that area brings, right? Because there's several restaurants which are solely about the culture, right? And so you have the turkey leg hut, and then you have dang it. You have the reggae hut, and you have a couple other restaurants which are along that corridor, which speak directly to the culture of the people that is serving, right? And if we could take that kind of entrepreneurship and that kind of thought and continue to expand it, I feel like we'll hold the foothold. We'll hold down what we have left. Right. As opposed to just continuing to hand it
over and sell it. And I agree with that, and that's the thing is, how do you get that word out there? How do you make people realize, whatever, like, to hold on. And it's not so much a matter of we don't want people there. And I think a lot of times they think, oh, well, you just don't want us to be here. It's not a matter of that. It's a matter of being able to hold on to something for ourselves.
That's it. That's it.
And
dude, we're not even from here. You and me, not even. We're not.
Nope,
we're not
even,
Texans.
not at all. I will never have my native Texan license plate. But I care about my community.
Yeah, and that's it.
And it's sad. Like I shouldn't care about my community more than the people that are born and raised in the community care about the community. But maybe that's the problem, right? Because I guess when you grow up with something and you've been there for 30, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years with the same thing, it loses its luster.
Yeah.
It's not the same. Like, it's just the same old.
That's honest. That is honest, because you and I, we probably got toys for Christmas that we don't even know where they are, right? That we had to have, right? And they were beautiful. It was the best thing. The Rock'em Sock'em robot, right?
Man, I don't even know where that. I don't know where that thing is. Yeah.
So we had to have it. It was beautiful in this moment. We kind of slid it to the side because the importance of it no longer held what it used to. And I believe that kind of mentality can happen, in neighborhoods like that, where you don't see the value of it anymore because it's just become common. And when it becomes common, then you treat it that way.
Exactly. But so then I guess the question is, could that also be where a lot of that frustration, well, not a lot, but some of that frustration comes from too? Because now when the gentrification comes, they're showing you the beauty that was always there.
And so the good thing, and you said that earlier, right? Which when I said, it became common, it clicked back into, I really understood what you said earlier about, them, that it may be a good thing, because now I see, which is a double-edged sword again.
It is.
Because why did it take you coming back in for me to see it?
See that.
But now that you're here, let me do something different.
Right.
And I can make a choice to do something different than what I had done before. Because now, clearly, you're not just coming back because I'm here. You're not here for me. But you're here because there's something clearly that I have that you see as valuable.
Exactly. You can see, I can do more with this little lot.
Yeah. Right.
Whatever it is. And that's why I said, like, that's why I do feel like there is some good if we can take advantage.
If it galvanizes the people who have been here to do something different with what they have.
Because there's not, a lot of people always look at it, I guess, from a negative standpoint, but this is also, I mean, they won't say it's for us because it's really not for us, but for a long time, we'd always say, or not we, but people, whatever, the people of color would always be like, no one will put money into our neighborhood, or no one will do this, or no one will do that. I mean, indirectly, gentrification is that. It's people putting money into your neighborhood. It's people coming in and saying, you know what, now your property value went from this to this. So now you have a resource, like you said, that you can borrow against, that you can use, that you can do whatever. Like, no, you're not getting your own black neighborhood or your own Hispanic neighborhood just for you, and we're just going to dump money into it. But we are going to come in and build some nice houses, which is going to up your property value. We are going to redo the park that your kids weren't able to play at because there's drug needles there, so now they have a place to play. We are going to, paint the streets and make it a little safer. You don't have to leave. We're here. You don't have to leave. But you also have an opportunity now. Like, it's one of those things where it's a blessing, or it could be the curse, right? Like, or it could be the blessing that we just don't see as an opportunity because we don't have the knowledge, or we don't.
I think it's the blessing that we don't see as an opportunity sometimes. And not that everybody's naive, right? But we like I said, I got caught up in the new bike lanes, but I can go ride my bike in the lane,
Yeah.
and now I can walk safely or do whatever. So yes, it was a reaction to this new movement, but if I'm going to stay here and hold my family here, now it's definitely bringing it up to a level where I can feel like, okay, let me figure out where else I can invest to create additional value here. So yeah.
And that's what I want people to take advantage of, I guess. And again, it goes back to the same question. How do we get that knowledge out there? How do we get the opportunity? Right now, if we go into whatever ward there is, we could probably knock on 100 doors. First of all, they probably get a gun in your face because they think, whatever. But we could knock on 100 doors, and probably 60% of them are probably in a bad spot right now. Mm-hmm. But nobody is going to give them that knowledge. They're gonna wait until they get so far out that they can't come back.
Yes.
And then that's when they're gonna jump.
Yeah.
How can we change that? How do you change that? Because no one's out there volunteering their time to be like, hey, because black people don't like to talk about money or what they have. They just don't. But B, it's kind of odd for someone to come to say, hey, I'm just here because I want to help you. Mm-hmm. So how do we stop that? Because it seems it's more of a prey mentality than it is to help grow and
so develop. I think that you said a couple things in there that kind of became red flags for me, because it seems like there's a lack of trust, right? And because of the lack of trust, like you were saying, why wouldn't they believe, or why, and these kind of things. I think it's because, we live in a place where we feel like somebody's always out to get us, right? And in an impoverished place, then you're looking over your shoulder even more.
Right.
Because you're wondering, when I come back home, is my door gonna be kicked in or whatever it is, right? And that's not just happening there; that's happening in the suburbs. It's happening all over, right?
Yeah, it's all over the place.
But nevertheless, it comes in building trust, and I don't think you can only build trust when you're seen, And so if you're not seen in the neighborhood doing these things, if you only show up to give out plates to the homeless, once a year around Christmas time,
right,
then, how can they know you and identify you as somebody that they can trust in? Because then they don't really care how much you're going to say if you hadn't done anything, right? It's always, It's your actions. It's 100%. Your actions that people watch. Because you can tell me all day long that you've changed, that you're not doing this, that you're not doing that. But if I see, that looks real familiar, I know this is what you said, but what I see is something completely different.
Right.
Then there's that lack of trust, and then we haven't built anything that's going to create the platform to have those conversations.
Right. And that's the thing. I don't know who spearheads that.
You and me.
We gonna print some flyers, and we're gonna
and we gotta figure it out.
Start knocking on doors.
Let's do it. I mean, because honestly, I think every great movement started with an agreement.
Yeah.
Whether there was probably some fear in the agreement, there's probably some doubt in the agreement, but even us sitting right here, we started with an agreement, right? And here we are. We decided that we were gonna buy and hold. This is not a fix and flip, right?
Right.
We're gonna buy and hold.
It's a long-term.
It's a long-term investment, and we're gonna ride this thing out. And in riding this thing out, hopefully we can build trust in our listenership. That listenership and trust will grow and move, and then we'll be able to have deeper conversations about greater things that are going to change lives.
Exactly. So then I guess the real question of having the conversation now is gentrification. Is it good or is it bad?
I'm mad that it took. Yeah.
I still honestly don't know.
And maybe it's both. It's both. And both in the way that it took that to happen for me to recognize value. But then So on my end, it is a negative because I didn't recognize it from the beginning. But then on the other end, now it's come with the support that didn't come with it on its own is now showing up, right? Which makes it, which makes you kind of turn your nose up towards it. I think that's the issue on this end, is that what came with it.
Right.
When the great white horse returned, it came with a whole lot of, goodies.
Yeah.
But we've been living here for years and there's been no help or no concern, right? That's where the animosity shows up. Because it's really not about them moving back into the neighborhood. Yeah, come on, let's go. But at the end of the day, it didn't come back until you decided it was valuable.
Yeah, I mean that's true. That's true, 100%. I mean, it sounds like we got a lot of work to do. we got a lot of work to do, and a lot of bridges to rebuild. And I'm hoping, like I said, with these conversations that we have, that it does open up the thought process for people, and just to let them kind of look on both sides of the coin, right? Because like you said, when we talk about even things like gentrification, is it good, is it bad? It's both.
Yeah.
And it's both for more than one reason.
Right.
And some of that we can't control, but some of that sits smack dab right on our shoulders.
Some of it's personal responsibility that we have to take on.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Exactly. So, what if you could? What would you challenge people? What would you challenge people with, who are on both sides of the coin when it comes to gentrification?
You gonna set me up like that, huh?
Yeah, you see, it's a hard one, right?
Yeah. What would I challenge? To educate yourself, right? Because we perish for the lack of knowledge, and I think when we don't educate ourselves about the good, the bad, the indifferent, and what gentrification does do, and what it doesn't do, what it brings and what it doesn't bring, and the socio-economic situations that it creates, right? If we don't understand that, then we'll be on one side, far left or far right.
Right.
And not see the beauty of the middle.
Right.
And I think we have to get to the beauty of the middle to recognize that somewhere in something, if I educate myself, I'll understand the positives and the pros and cons of this whole situation. And so I think it comes with us educating and then educating others. The same thing we talked about, who tells the people about the truth of it, right? It's one, we have to be educated, understanding what is good and what is not about it, and then being able to go out and share with those who are fighting it for or against, and show them, hey, if we do this, then this helps us, right? Then gentrification works.
Yeah.
So let's figure out how to work it.
Use all the tools.
Let's use the tool
that are in the shed.
The tool is here.
Right.
Let's figure out how to use it.
I like it, man. Everybody educate yourselves. Make for a better tomorrow.
Yeah. Sounds great to me.
I love it.
Love it.
Yeah. I'm ready to play now. Put me in the game now. I came here to prove it. I'm ready to do it. I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now. I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out.